The air in South Beach pulsed with life, a frenetic heartbeat of neon lights and Latin rhythms spilling from every open door. Miami's nightlife was a world unto itself, and at its center was Club Luminous, a glittering hotspot where the wealthy and the reckless collided. Rafael Stone, a white American hotel magnate with sharp blue eyes and a jawline that could cut glass, stepped out of his sleek black car and into the humid night. His tailored suit clung to his broad shoulders, a stark contrast to the chaos of the club scene. At 32, Rafael was a man who commanded attention, his pale skin catching the glow of the neon signs as he moved with purpose. But tonight, his usual confidence was frayed, unraveling under the weight of a recent accusation, embezzlement. A charge as false as it was ruinous, pinned on him by unseen enemies in the cutthroat world of Miami's elite. Inside Club Luminous, the music was a tidal wave, salsa and reggaeton crashing over the crowd. Rafael scanned the room, his gaze slicing through the haze of cigarette smoke and flashing lights. He wasn't here to dance or drown in the excess. He needed escape, a momentary reprieve from the scandal threatening to topple his empire. His family's hotel chain, Stone Resorts, was a cornerstone of Miami's skyline, but the whispers of fraud had turned allies into vipers. He ordered a neat whiskey and let the burn anchor him to the moment. Across the club, Zara Brooks moved like a spark in the dark. Zara, an African-American woman with deep brown skin that glowed under the strobe lights, carried herself with a quiet fire. Her tight curls were pulled into a high bun, a few strands framing her face as she laughed with friends. At 26, she was a rising star in Miami's culinary scene, a sous chef with dreams of her own restaurant. Her hazel eyes caught the light as she swayed to the music, her energy infectious. Zara's life was one of hustle long hours in steamy kitchens, perfecting recipes that blended her southern roots with Miami's vibrant flavors. Tonight, though, she was here to let loose, to shake off the grind and feel alive. Their eyes met across the crowded dance floor, a fleeting connection that felt like a jolt of electricity. Drawn by her radiance, Rafael set his drink down and moved toward her. Zara, noticing the intensity in his gaze, felt her pulse quicken, but held her ground, a challenge in her smile. The music shifted to a slower, sultry beat, and he offered his hand. "Dance?" he asked, his voice low, carrying the faintest hint of a southern drawl from his childhood in Georgia. Zara tilted her head, sizing him up. "You don't look like you dance," she teased, her voice warm but edged with curiosity. "Try me," Rafael replied, a playfulness breaking through his guarded exterior. They moved together, bodies sinking to the rhythm, like they'd done this 1,000 times. His hand rested lightly on her waist, her fingers brushing his shoulder. The world around them blurred, neon lights pulsing bass, the press of strangers all fading as they found a rhythm that was theirs alone. They talked between songs, their words weaving through the music. Zara spoke of her love for food and how a perfect dish could tell a story. Rafael, usually so guarded, found himself sharing fragments of his world, the pressure of running an empire, the betrayal he felt from those he'd trusted. Zara said, "You don't seem like the club type sipping a mojito," as they leaned against the bar. "I'm not," Rafael admitted, his eyes tracing her features. "But tonight, I needed something else." She nodded, understanding more than he said. "Miami has a way of pulling you in." Hours passed like minutes, the night folding around them. They laughed, they danced, they shared stories under the flickering lights. A pull between them was undeniable and fierce, like a tide dragging them closer. Rafael suggested a walk along the beach when the club began to thin out. Zara hesitated, then agreed, drawn to the quiet vulnerability she sensed beneath his polished exterior. The sand was cool under their feet, and the ocean was a dark mirror reflecting the city's glow. They sat on a low wall, the waves crashing softly in the distance. Rafael's hand brushed hers, and neither pulled away. The air was charged, and it was heavy with possibility. When he leaned in, Zara met him halfway, their kiss a spark that ignited something neither could name. It was reckless, raw a moment that felt like it could rewrite their futures. But the night shattered with a single phone call. Rafael's phone buzzed the screen, lighting up with Elena's name. His scheming cousin, a woman with porcelain skin and sharp green eyes, always calculating, always one step ahead. "Rafael, it's urgent." Her voice crackled through the line laced with panic. "There's a crisis at the hotel. You need to come now," he cursed under his breath, torn. "I have to go," he told Zara, his voice heavy with regret. It's not over. I'll find you." Zara nodded, her heart sinking as she watched him disappear into the night. She stood alone on the beach, the warmth of his touch, lingering unaware that the call was a lie, a calculated move by Elena to pull Rafael back into her web. As the waves rolled in, Zara felt the weight of the moment, a fleeting connection that had already begun to change her life. The days that followed were a blur for Zara. She returned to her kitchen, chopping vegetables and perfecting sauces, but her thoughts drifted to Rafael. She searched for him online, her heart racing, as she saw his name tied to Stone Resorts and the embezzlement scandal. Doubt crept in. Had she misread him? Was he just another rich man playing games? When she discovered she was pregnant, the world tilted. Zara chose to reach out to a man she barely knew, one entangled in scandal, or forge ahead alone. Pride and fear won out. She chose silence, vowing to build a life for her child on her own terms. Rafael, meanwhile, was consumed by the fight to clear his name. The accusations were a carefully orchestrated attack, but by whom he couldn't yet prove. Elena hovered at the edges, offering support, while subtly tightening her grip on the family business. Rafael buried himself in work expanding Stone Resorts to drown out the whispers of betrayal. But when the city quieted at night, he thought of Zara, her laugh, her fire, how she'd made him feel alive. He searched for her, but South Beach was a labyrinth, and she'd left no trace. As months turned to years, their lives diverged. Zara poured her heart into raising Milo, a boy, with his father's blue eyes and her boundless energy. She started a small catering business, her dishes earning quiet acclaim in Miami's food scene. Rafael, now hardened by years of battles, grew colder, his trust in others eroded by betrayal. Yet neither could forget that night, a spark that lingered in the shadows of their lives, waiting to reignite. Miami shimmered under the relentless sun, its skyline a testament to ambition and excess. Zara Brooks navigated the city's chaos with a quiet strength, her days a whirlwind of catering gigs and single motherhood. Her small business, Zara's Bites, had grown from a one-woman operation to a local favorite serving bold flavors at weddings and corporate events. But her true joy was Milo, her 8-year-old son, a whirlwind of curiosity with a knack for asking questions that cut straight to the heart. His laughter filled their modest apartment in Little Havana, a space bursting with color, bright curtains, mismatched furniture, and Zara's collection of cookbooks stacked on every surface. Zara's life was a balancing act. Mornings began before dawn, prepping ingredients for her next event, while Milo slept. Afternoons were for school pickups and homework evenings for cooking and bedtime stories. She loved it, but the weight of doing it alone pressed on her. The memory of Rafael lingered like a half-forgotten song, stirring a mix of longing and resentment. She'd seen his name in the news over the years. Stone Resorts expanding, the embezzlement charges dropped. He'd won his battles, but never come looking for her. She told herself it was for the best. Their worlds were too different, separated by wealth and power, she could never touch. Still, every time Milo looked at her, with those piercing blue eyes, her heart ached with the secret she carried. Across the city, Rafael Stone sat in his corner office, atop the flagship hotel of Stone Resorts, the ocean sprawling beyond his floor-to-ceiling windows. The man who'd once danced under neon lights was replaced by someone sharper, more guarded. The embezzlement scandal had been a crucible burning away his trust in others. He'd fought tooth and nail to clear his name, uncovering a trail of forged documents that led nowhere definitive, though he suspected Elena's hand in it. Stone Resorts was bigger than ever, with properties dotting the eastern seaboard, but success came at a cost. Rafael's days were filled with boardroom battles and high-stakes deals, his nights with sleepless hours, haunted by what he'd lost. Elena, his cousin, remained a constant presence, her charm a mask for her ambition. She'd risen to a senior role in the company, always offering advice consistently, positioning herself as indispensable. Rafael tolerated her, but his instincts screamed caution. She was too smooth, too quick to smile when tensions ran high. He'd learned to trust no one, especially not women who got too close. The memory of Zara was the exception, a fleeting moment of connection he couldn't replicate. Years ago, he'd tried to find her, but South Beach had swallowed her up. Now he buried that regret beneath layers of work, convincing himself it was better this way. Zara, too, carried her own scars. The gap between her world and Rafael's had always felt vast, a chasm of class and privilege she couldn't cross. She'd grown up in a small Georgia town, where her parents worked long hours for little pay. Cooking had been her escape, creating something beautiful from nothing. But loving Rafael, even for one night, had left her vulnerable. She'd trusted too quickly, fallen too hard, resulting in a life she hadn't planned. Milo was her everything, but the weight of her choices, of not reaching out, of hiding the truth, pressed on her. She feared what might happen if Rafael ever learned about Milo. Would he try to take him? Would he see her as just another opportunist? Their lives moved in parallel two orbits that hadn't yet collided. Zara's days were grounded in the tangible kneading dough, soothing Milo's fears, building a future 1 gig at a time. Rafael's was a high-wire act, navigating corporate intrigue and the ever-present threat of betrayal. Yet both carried the same ache, a memory of a night that had promised more than either could hold on to. Milo was the bridge between them, though neither knew it. At school, he was a dreamer, sketching boats and beaches in his notebook, his imagination as boundless as Miami. Zara watched him with pride and fear, knowing his questions about his father grew sharper. "Why don't I have a dad like other kids?" he'd asked once, his voice small but piercing. Zara had deflected promising answers someday. That someday loomed closer, a reckoning she wasn't ready for. Rafael, meanwhile, felt a restlessness he couldn't name. He'd built an empire, but it felt hollow. Late at night, when the city's lights glittered below, he wondered about the woman from the club who'd seen through his armor. He didn't know about Milo, didn't know how close he was to the truth. But as Miami always proved, fate had a way of rewriting plans. As Zara prepped for her biggest catering job, yet a gala at a luxurious Miami Beach hotel, she felt unease. The client was Stone Resorts, a name that hit like a punch. She pushed the thought aside, focusing on her menu: jerk chicken skewers, mango salsa, cornbread bites. This was her shot to shine, to prove she belonged in Miami's elite circles. Across town, Rafael reviewed the gala's details, unaware that the chef he'd hired was the woman who'd haunted him for 9 years. The stage was set, the past waiting to crash into the present. The Blue Ocean Hotel stood like a crown jewel on Miami Beach, its glass facade shimmering under the late afternoon sun. Stone Resort's flagship property was a monument to luxury, with cascading fountains, marble floors, and a rooftop infinity pool that seemed to melt into the Atlantic. Tonight, it would host a gala to celebrate the hotel's 10th anniversary, a high-stakes event drawing Miami's elite politicians, influencers, and business tycoons. Rafael Stone, the mastermind behind the empire, moved through the lobby, precisely issuing quiet orders to staff as they polished every detail. His tailored navy suit was impeccable, his presence commanding, but beneath the surface, he felt the weight of expectation. This night had to be flawless, a statement to silence the whispers of past scandals. Zara Brooks was a force of nature in the hotel's industrial kitchen. Her catering team buzzed around her, chopping, sautéing, and plating with military precision. Zara's menu was a love letter to Miami spicy shrimp ceviche, guava-glazed pork sliders, and key lime tarts that balanced tart and sweet. She wore a crisp white chef's coat, her hair tucked under a bandana, her focus razor-sharp. This gig was her biggest yet, a chance to elevate Zara's bites into the city's upper echelon. But the name Stone Resorts gnawed at her. She'd known Rafael owned the hotel, but convinced herself their paths wouldn't cross. Miami was big enough to keep them apart. The kitchen doors swung open, and Rafael entered for a final inspection. Zara froze a tray of garnishes in her hands. Their eyes locked, and the world seemed to tilt. Rafael's breath caught as he recognized her, the woman from that electric night 9 years ago, her presence as vivid now as it was then. Zara's heart pounded, memories of neon lights and ocean waves flooding back. Neither spoke for a moment, the air thick with unspoken history. "Zara," Rafael said finally, his voice low, almost disbelieving. "You're the chef." She set the tray down, steadying herself. "Yeah, small world." Her tone was guarded, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of vulnerability. Rafael took a step closer, ignoring the curious glances from the kitchen staff. "I looked for you. After that night. Please don't." Zara cut him off, her voice firm but quiet. "That was a long time ago." He nodded, respecting her boundary, but unable to hide the intensity in his gaze. "You're good at this," he said, gesturing to the kitchen. "The menu, it's impressive." "Thanks," she replied, her professionalism snapping back into place. "We've got a lot to do before tonight. I should get back to it." Rafael lingered a moment longer, then nodded and left. But the encounter left them both shaken. For Zara, seeing him was like reopening a wound she'd spent years stitching closed. She thought of Milo, her son, waiting at home with her neighbor. His blue eyes, so like Rafael's, were a secret she wasn't ready to share. What if Rafael found out? Would he try to take Milo using his wealth and power? The thought made her grip the counter, her knuckles tight. Back in his office, Rafael stared out at the ocean, his mind racing. Zara was here in his world after all these years. The connection they'd shared that night hadn't faded. It was alive, crackling like a live wire. But she'd quickly shut him down, her walls higher than he'd expected. He sensed she was hiding something but what the gala loomed, and he pushed the thought aside, focusing on the night ahead. As evening fell, the Blue Ocean Hotel transformed into a spectacle. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across the ballroom, where guests in glittering gowns and tailored suits mingled over champagne. Zara's team worked in perfect sync, delivering plates that drew gasps of delight. She stayed in the kitchen, orchestrating the chaos. But her thoughts drifted to Rafael. She'd caught glimpses of him through the service window, moving among the guests with effortless charm. He was different now, more complex, more guarded, but their pull was undeniable. Midway through the night, Rafael requested a meeting with the chef. Zara's stomach twisted, but she wiped her hands on a towel and followed a staff member to a private lounge. Rafael stood by a window, the city's skyline framing him. "The food's a hit," he said, turning to face her. "You've outdone yourself." "Just doing my job," Zara replied, her tone neutral, but her pulse racing. He stepped closer, his voice softening. Zara, I don't know what happened back then, but I meant what I said that night. I wanted to find you. She crossed her arms, a shield against the vulnerability his words stirred. It was one night, Rafael. We were different people. Were we? He challenged, his eyes searching hers, because it doesn't feel like it. Before she could respond, a staff member interrupted, summoning Rafael back to the ballroom. Zara exhaled, relieved and frustrated. She returned to the kitchen, throwing herself into her work to drown out the emotions swirling inside her. As the gala wound down, Zara overheard whispers among the staff. Elena, Rafael's cousin, had been circling the event, her sharp eyes missing nothing. Zara didn't know Elena, but the name sent a chill through her. She'd read about her in articles about Stone Resorts, a cunning operator with a knack for getting what she wanted. Zara pushed the unease aside, focusing on cleanup. But as she left the hotel, catching a glimpse of Rafael laughing with a guest, she felt the weight of her secret heavier than ever. Milo was her world, and she'd do anything to protect him, even if it meant keeping Rafael at arm's length. The next day, Zara was back in her routine, dropping Milo off at school and prepping for her next gig. But the encounter with Rafael lingered, a splinter she couldn't ignore. She wondered if he'd try to contact her, if he'd push to know more. Part of her wanted him to, but another part, the part that had survived years of struggle, knew better than to hope. Rafael, meanwhile, was distracted in a board meeting, his thoughts on Zara. He'd tasked his assistant with finding her contact information, which felt reckless and necessary. He didn't know what to say, but couldn't let her slip away again. The gala had been a success, but Zara's presence lingered, a reminder of a life he might have had if things had been different. In the shadows, Elena watched it all. She'd noticed Rafael's distraction, the way his eyes followed the chef. She didn't know Zara's story, but she sensed an opportunity. Elena had her plans for Stone Resorts, and Rafael's vulnerabilities were her leverage. As she sipped coffee in her sleek office, she began to dig, determined to uncover whatever Zara was hiding. The stage was set for a collision that would test Zara's resolve and Rafael's trust. With its glittering surface and dark undercurrents, Miami was about to pull them back together, whether they were ready or not. The yacht gleamed under the Miami moon, its deck a floating palace of glass and chrome. Stone Resorts had spared no expense for this exclusive party, a post-gala celebration for their top investors and VIPs. The vessel cut through the dark waters of Biscayne Bay, the city's skyline a dazzling backdrop. Rafael Stone stood at the helm, greeting guests with his polished charm, but his mind was elsewhere. Zara Brooks was on board, and her catering team was tasked with delivering another flawless menu. The thought of her in his world again sent a current through him, equal parts thrill and unease. Zara moved through the yacht's galley with her usual command, her team plating conch fritters, coconut rice, and passion fruit sorbet. The confined space was a pressure cooker, but she thrived in it, her focus a shield against the chaos of seeing Rafael again. She'd spent the days since the gala wrestling with their encounter, her heart torn between old sparks and new fears. Milo was her anchor, and the secret of his paternity felt like a ticking bomb. She'd seen Rafael's power firsthand, the way people deferred to him, the weight of his name. What would happen if he knew the truth? The party was in full swing, laughter and clinking glasses echoing across the deck. Rafael spotted Zara through the galley window, her movements precise as she garnished a plate. He excused himself from a conversation and slipped into the galley, closing the door behind him. He said, "You're killing it out there," leaning against a counter. Zara glanced up, her expression guarded. "Thanks. It's what I do." He studied her, sensing the distance she was trying to maintain. "Can we talk?" "Really talk?" "Not here," she said, her voice low. "I'm working." After that, he pressed. Zara, I don't want to let this us slip away again. She hesitated, her resolve wavering. Before she could respond, a crash from the deck interrupted them. A guest had spilled a tray of drinks, and Zara's team sprang into action. Rafael returned to his guests, but the moment lingered a promise of something unresolved. As the night progressed, tensions simmered beneath the party's polished surface. Elena, ever the opportunist, moved through the crowd, her smile sharp as she whispered to select guests. She'd been digging into Zara's past, her instincts telling her there was something to exploit. By midnight, she'd planted a rumor Zara Brooks was a gold digger, using her connection to Rafael to climb Miami's social ladder. The gossip spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of Victor Marquez, a slick board member with a grudge against Rafael. Victor, a man with a politician's charm and a shark's instincts, saw the rumor as a weapon. He'd been gunning for Rafael's position for years, frustrated by the Stone family's grip on the company. At a quiet corner of the deck, he cornered Elena. "This chef thing," he said, swirling his drink. "It's a weak spot for Rafael. Keep pushing it." Elena nodded, her eyes glinting already on it. "She's hiding something, Victor. I can feel it." Zara, unaware of the whispers, focused on her work. But she noticed the sidelong glances from guests, the hushed conversations that stopped when she approached. During a brief break, she overheard two women by the railing. "She's just a caterer," one said. "How does someone like that end up with Rafael Stone?" The words stung, hitting the old wound of class and belonging. Zara clenched her jaw and returned to the galley, her resolve hardening. She didn't need their approval, but the rumors cut deeper than she'd admit. Rafael, too, caught wind of the gossip. A loyal board member pulled him aside, warning him of Elena's whispers. Fury flared in him, but he kept his composure, scanning the crowd for his cousin. He found her laughing with Victor, their heads bent together. Rafael's instincts screamed betrayal, but he needed proof. For now, he focused on damage control, ensuring the party ran smoothly while keeping an eye on Zara. As the yacht docked at midnight, a small crisis erupted. A guest, emboldened by too much champagne, confronted Zara about the rumors. "So, you're cozying up to Rafael?" he slurred, loud enough for others to hear. Zara's face burned, but she kept her voice steady. "I'm here to do my job," she said, turning away. But the man grabbed her arm, and before she could react, Rafael was there, his hand on the guest's shoulder. "Back off," Rafael said, his tone ice cold. The man stammered an apology and retreated. Rafael turned to Zara, his expression softening. "You okay?" She nodded, pulling her arm free. "I can handle myself." "I know," he said, his voice low. "But you shouldn't have to." The moment was interrupted by Elena, who appeared with a practiced smile. "Everything all right?" she asked, her eyes flicking between them. "Fine," Rafael said curtly, his distrust of her growing. Elena excused herself, but not before shooting Zara a look that promised trouble. As the guests disembarked, Zara and Rafael found a quiet moment by the railing. The city lights glittered across the water, a reminder of Miami's beauty and its bite. "I'm sorry about tonight," Rafael said. "The rumors, they're not true." "I know," Zara replied, her voice softer now. "But this world of yours, it's not mine." He said the words could be slipping out before he could stop them. Zara looked at him, her heart warring with her head. "You don't know what you're saying." "Then tell me," he urged. "What's holding you back?" She wanted to tell him about Milo, to spill the truth and see where it led, but fear stopped her. The fear of losing her son, of being swept into a world that might chew her up. "I need time," she said finally. Rafael nodded, respecting her space, but hating the distance between them. As she walked away, he felt the weight of her unspoken truth, a puzzle he was determined to solve. Victor and Elena watched the exchange in the shadows, their alliance solidifying. The rumors were just the beginning. Victor had bigger plans. A boardroom coup to oust Rafael, with Elena as his ally. Whether she knew it or not, Zara was the spark that could set it all ablaze. Miami's waters were calm, but a storm was brewing, and no one would emerge unscathed. The Blue Ocean Hotel's gala kitchen was a controlled chaos, a symphony of clanging pans and shouted orders as Zara Brooks orchestrated her team. The event was a high-profile fundraiser, with Miami's elite mingling in the ballroom above. Zara's menu crab empanadas, citrus-marinated snapper, and mango tres leches had the guests buzzing, but her focus was razor-sharp, every movement precise. She hadn't seen Rafael Stone since the yacht party, but his presence lingered in her thoughts, a constant tug between longing and fear. Her son Milo was at home with a babysitter, and his safety was her anchor. The secret of his paternity weighed heavier each day, especially now that Rafael was back in her orbit. A young boy darted through the chaos in the kitchen's corner, his sneakers squeaking on the tile. Milo, restless and curious, had slipped away from the babysitter and found his way to the hotel, drawn by the excitement of his mother's work. Zara hadn't noticed him yet, her attention on a tray of appetizers. But a misstep near a hot stove sent a pot of boiling water teetering. Milo froze, eyes wide, as the pot tipped. Before Zara could react, Rafael appeared, his reflexes quick. He'd been checking on the event and spotted the boy in the kitchen. In one fluid motion, he pulled Milo back, steadying the pot with his other hand. The staff gasped, but the crisis was averted. Zara turned, her heart stopping as she saw her son in Rafael's arms. "Milo," she exclaimed, rushing over. "What are you doing here? I wanted to see you work." Milo said, his voice small but defiant. He looked up at Rafael, unafraid. "Thanks, mister." Rafael set him down, his expression softening as he met Milo's gaze. Something in the boy's eyes, a familiar intensity, stirred him. "No problem, kid. You've got to be careful around here." Zara knelt beside Milo, her hands trembling as she checked him for burns. "You can't just show up like this," she said, her voice a mix of relief and frustration. She glanced at Rafael, her eyes guarded. "Thank you." Rafael nodded, sensing the weight of the moment. "He's yours?" he asked, though the question felt loaded. "Yeah," Zara said, standing. "This is Milo, my son." The word son hit Rafael like a wave, though he didn't know why. He crouched to Milo's level. "Hey, Milo, I'm Rafael." "You like kitchens?" Milo nodded, his curiosity piqued. "Mom makes the best food. Have you ever tried her tacos?" Rafael smiled, a rare warmth breaking through. "Not yet, but I'm betting they're amazing." Zara watched, her heart racing. The resemblance between them, Milo's sharp jaw, the way his eyes crinkled, felt like a spotlight on her secret. She ushered Milo to a safe corner, promising to deal with him later. Rafael lingered, offering to watch the boy while she finished the event. Against her better judgment, she agreed, too frazzled to argue. As the night wound down, Rafael and Milo bonded over small moments. Rafael showed him how to fold napkins into swans, earning a laugh. Milo, in turn, told stories of his mom's cooking, his pride in her palpable. Zara caught glimpses of them, her emotions tangled with fear and hope. Rafael's ease with Milo was unnerving, a glimpse of what could be if she dared to tell the truth. Rafael invited Zara and Milo to South Beach for a casual outing the next day. Zara hesitated, but saw the excitement in Milo's eyes. They met at the beach, the sun high and the waves crashing. In a rare moment of informality, Rafael wore a linen shirt and shorts, his usual polish softened. He taught Milo to bodyboard, their laughter echoing over the sand. Zara watched from a blanket, her guard lowering despite herself. Rafael's patience with Milo, the way he listened to the boy's endless questions, chipped away at her defenses. Later they grabbed tacos at a stand in Little Havana, a place Zara loved for its authentic al pastor. Milo chattered about school, his drawings, and his dream of sailing a boat someday. Rafael listened, genuinely engaged, asking questions that made Milo beam. Zara felt a pang. She'd always been enough for Milo, but seeing him with Rafael stirred a longing for a family she'd never imagined. "You're good with him," she said quietly, as Milo ran to get napkins. Rafael shrugged his eyes on the boy. "He's easy to like. Reminds me of someone." Zara's breath caught, but she covered it with a sip of soda. The day ended with a walk through Little Havana's vibrant streets, murals, and music surrounding them. Milo held Rafael's hand, then Zara's, linking them in a natural and terrifying way. As they parted, Rafael's gaze lingered on Zara. "This was good," he said. "Let's do it again." She nodded, unable to speak. The connection between Rafael and Milo was undeniable, a bond forming faster than she could control. But Elena's rumors still lingered, and Zara knew the gossip from the yacht party hadn't faded. She feared what might happen if the truth came out, not just for her, but for Milo. While driving back to his penthouse, Rafael couldn't shake the feeling that Milo was more than just Zara's son. The boy's mannerisms, his quick wit felt like echoes of himself. He pushed the thought aside, chalking it up to wishful thinking. But the day had cracked something open in him, a hope he hadn't felt in years. He wanted more of this, more of Zara Milo, and a real life. In the shadows, Elena watched from a distance. She'd heard about the kitchen incident and Rafael's growing interest in Zara. Her instincts told her there was leverage, a secret she could exploit. She began digging deeper, contacting old acquaintances in Zara's circle, determined to uncover the truth. The fundraiser had been a success, but the real game was beginning, and Elena played to win. The days that followed were a delicate dance. Zara took on more gigs for Stone Resorts, her business thriving, but her nerves frayed. Rafael found excuses to see her dropping by her catering events or inviting her and Milo for outings. Each moment with Milo strengthened his suspicion, but he didn't push Zara, sensing her walls. For Zara, every smile between Rafael and Milo was a step closer to a truth she wasn't ready to face. Miami's heat felt suffocating, the city's pulse mirroring her own. Miami's skyline glittered under a twilight haze, the city's energy a constant hum. Zara Brooks stood in her small apartment kitchen, prepping for a private dinner gig, while Milo did homework at the table. Her catering business was booming, but the weight of her secret, Milo's paternity, grew heavier with each interaction with Rafael Stone. Their recent outings had woven a fragile thread between them, one Zara both cherished and feared. Rafael's bond with Milo was undeniable, but the risk of revealing the truth loomed like a storm on the horizon. Rafael sat in a boardroom at Stone Resort's headquarters. His focus splintered. The company was thriving, but whispers of discontent among the board, fueled by Elena and Victor Marquez, threatened his control. Elena had been relentless, spreading rumors that Zara was using Rafael to climb Miami's social ladder. Worse, she'd hinted to select board members that Zara had a child with another man, a lie meant to sow doubt and discredit Rafael's judgment. Sensing an opening, Victor pushed for a vote to limit Rafael's authority, framing it as a precaution against his distractions. Zara, unaware of the boardroom machinations, felt the sting of Elena's rumors at her next event. Guests whispered as she passed, their glances sharp with judgment. She overheard a snippet. "She's got a kid, probably looking for a payday," and her stomach churned. The lies cut deep, but she kept her head high, focusing on her work. Her menu, a fusion of jerk-spiced lobster and plantain fritters, was a hit, but the gossip was a constant undercurrent. Rafael, catching wind of the latest rumors, confronted Elena in her office. "What are you playing at?" he demanded, his voice low, but edged with steel. Elena leaned back in her chair, her smile cool. "Just looking out for the company, cousin. People talk. You're getting too close to that chef. It's clouding your judgment." "My judgment is fine," Rafael snapped. "Stop meddling, Elena." She shrugged, unfazed. "The board's concerned. Victor's pushing for a vote. You should watch your back." Rafael left his mind racing. The rumors about Zara weren't just gossip. They were a calculated move to undermine him. But something about Elena's mention of Zara's child nagged at him. Milo's face flashed in his mind, those familiar eyes haunting him. He needed answers, but confronting Zara directly felt like a risk he wasn't ready to take. Zara and Rafael crossed paths at a Stone Resort's cocktail event that evening. The rooftop venue overlooked the ocean fairy lights, twinkling against the night. Zara's team served bite-sized conch ceviche, but she felt exposed, and the rumors weighed her shoulders. Rafael pulled her aside to a quiet corner, his expression serious. "Zara, we need to talk," he said, his voice low. "These rumors, they're not just about us. They're saying you have a child with someone else." Her heart stopped. "That's none of their business," she said, her tone sharp. "I know," Rafael said, stepping closer. "But it's hurting you. And I can't shake this feeling about Milo. He feels familiar." Zara's breath hitched. She wanted to deny it and push him away, but the truth was clawing out. Before she could respond, a board member interrupted, pulling Rafael back to the guests. Zara returned to her team, her mind a storm. Elena, watching from across the rooftop, sensed her moment. She'd hired a private investigator, and the pieces were falling into place. Milo's birth certificate listed no father, but the timing 9 years ago, just after that night in South Beach, was too perfect. She didn't have proof yet, but she was close. She whispered to Victor, who nodded, his eyes glinting with ambition. The next day, Rafael made a decision. He contacted a discreet agency to run a DNA test, using a straw Milo had used during their last outing. Guilt gnawed at him, but the need for truth was more substantial. He didn't tell Zara, knowing it would shatter her trust. Rafael's world tilted when the results came back confirming Milo was his son. Shock, joy, and anger collided. He had a son, and Zara had kept it from him. He confronted her at her apartment, his emotions barely contained. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked, holding up the test results. "Milo's mine, Zara. My son." Zara's face crumpled, tears welling. "I was scared," she admitted, her voice breaking. "You were this big-shot hotel guy tangled in a scandal. I didn't know if I could trust you. And then, I didn't know how to tell you without losing him." Rafael's anger softened, replaced by a raw ache. "You thought I'd take him from you. You have money power," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm just a chef. I couldn't risk it." He stepped closer, his voice steady. "Zara, I'd never hurt you or Milo. I want to be part of his life, our life." She shook her head, overwhelmed. "It's not that simple. People like Elena and Victor will use this against you, against us." Rafael's jaw tightened. She was right. Elena's rumors and Victor's scheming were a growing threat, but now, knowing Milo was his, he felt a new resolve. "We'll face them together," he said. "But you have to trust me." Zara looked into his eyes, seeing the man from that night 9 years ago, the one who'd made her feel alive. She nodded, a tentative step toward trust. But as they stood there, the city's pulse outside their window, both knew the battle was far from over. Elena and Victor were closing in, and the truth about Milo was a weapon they'd wield without mercy. The Miami skyline glittered with menace, its lights sharp against the night like a city holding its breath. Rafael Stone stood in his penthouse office at the Blue Ocean Hotel, staring at the ocean beyond the glass. The DNA test results, confirming Milo as his son lay on his desk, a truth that had shifted his world. He was a father, a role he hadn't dared imagine, and the weight of it both grounded and terrified him. Zara Brooks. The woman who'd haunted his thoughts for 9 years had kept this secret, and though he understood her fear, the sting of her silence lingered. But there was no time to dwell. Enemies circled, and Rafael sensed the noose tightening. Elena, his cousin, had escalated her campaign. Her rumors about Zara had taken root, painting her as an opportunist in Miami's elite circles. Worse, she'd allied with Victor Marquez, a board member with a predator's instincts and a vendetta against Rafael. Victor wanted control of Stone Resorts, and Elena was his key to the inner circle. Together, they'd been sowing discord among the board, questioning Rafael's leadership and hinting at scandals tied to Zara. The latest blow was a whisper that Milo was Rafael's son, a truth they couldn't yet prove, but wielded like a blade. Zara, meanwhile, was in her element at a catering gig in Coconut Grove, her team serving blackened mahi-mahi and pineapple salsa to a crowd of tech moguls. Milo was at home with a trusted neighbor, but the boy's presence in her life felt more fragile now that Rafael knew the truth. Their confrontation had been raw, his hurt palpable, but his promise to protect them had sparked a cautious hope. Still, Zara felt exposed, and the rumors about her were constantly hummed in the background. She'd overheard a client at the event whisper, "She's the one with Stone's kid, right? Wonder what she's after." The words cut, but she channeled her anger into her work, carefully plating dishes. Rafael arrived at the event unannounced, his presence drawing eyes. He needed to see Zara to solidify the fragile trust they'd begun to rebuild. He found her in the makeshift kitchen, her focus intense as she garnished a tray. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice low to avoid the staff's curious glances. Zara nodded, wiping her hands on her apron. They stepped onto a balcony overlooking the bay, the air thick with humidity. "I'm still processing," she said, her eyes searching his. "You knowing about Milo? It changes everything." "I want to be there for him," Rafael said, his tone steady, "for both of you. But we've got a problem. Elena and Victor are coming for me, and they'll use Milo to do it." Zara's stomach twisted. "What do they know?" "Not enough yet," he said. "But they're digging. And I got something today." He pulled out his phone, showing her a scanned letter, an anonymous tip sent to his office. It claimed Elena had ties to a money laundering scheme in Wynwood, a gritty Miami neighborhood known for its art and underbelly. The letter named names, dates, and a shady club owner linked to her past. "Is it real?" Zara asked, her voice tight. "I don't know," Rafael admitted. "It could be a setup, but if it's true, it's a weapon." Zara crossed her arms, her mind racing. "You're going to use it?" "Not yet," he said. "I need proof, but I'm not letting her destroy us." The word "us" hung between them, heavy with possibility. Zara wanted to believe in it, but the stakes were too high. "If you go after Elena, what happens to Milo?" "To me, I'll protect you," Rafael said, his eyes fierce. "No one's taking him from you, or from me." Their conversation was cut short by a staff member calling Zara back to the kitchen. As she left, Rafael felt a surge of resolve. He'd spent years fighting to clear his name from the embezzlement scandal, and now he faced a new battle, one for his son, his legacy, and the woman he couldn't let go. He contacted a private investigator who verified the letter's claims. If Elena were dirty, he'd expose her, but he had to move carefully. The next day, Rafael met with a trusted board member, Claudia, who'd been loyal through the embezzlement fallout. Over coffee in a quiet Coral Gables cafe, he shared the letter. Claudia's eyes narrowed as she read it. "Elena's always been slippery," she said. "But this, if it's true, it's explosive. You need hard evidence, Rafael. Victor's got too many allies on the board." "I'm working on it," Rafael said. "But I was hoping you could keep this quiet. And watch Victor. He's pushing for a vote to oust me." Claudia nodded, her loyalty unwavering. "You've got my vote. But be careful. Elena's not just ambitious, she's ruthless." Meanwhile, Zara took Milo to a park in Little Havana, trying to keep life normal despite the storm brewing. Milo kicked a soccer ball, his laughter easing her tension. But as she watched him, she noticed a man lingering near the playground, his phone angled toward them. Her instincts screamed danger. She grabbed Milo and left her heart pounding. Was it paranoia? Or was someone watching? She called Rafael, her voice shaking as she recounted the incident. "I'm sending security," he said immediately. "Stay with Milo. Don't go anywhere alone." Zara bristled at the command, but agreed, the fear in her gut overriding her pride. Rafael arrived at her apartment an hour later, his face etched with worry. He said, "I'm not taking chances checking the locks on her door. If Elena or Victor is behind this, they're playing dirty." Zara nodded, holding Milo close as he played with a toy boat. "What do we do now?" "We fight," Rafael said. "But we do it smart. I'm digging into Elena's past. If that letter's real, it could end her." The days that followed were a chess game. Rafael's investigator uncovered a paper trail, bank transfers, coded emails, linking Elena to the Wynwood club owner. It wasn't enough for a conviction, but it was a start. Meanwhile, Victor pushed the board for a vote, citing Rafael's personal entanglements as a liability. Elena fueled the fire, leaking more rumors about Zara to the press, painting her as a schemer out for Rafael's fortune. Zara felt the walls closing in. At her next catering gig, a corporate luncheon, she overheard board members whispering about Rafael's leadership. She wanted to defend him, but her own reputation was under siege. She focused on her work serving jerk chicken skewers and coconut rice, but the strain wore down. Sensing her struggle, Rafael invited her and Milo to a quiet dinner at his beachfront villa, a chance to regroup. The dinner was simple tacos, Milo's favorite made by Zara, in Rafael's sleek kitchen. Milo chattered about school, oblivious to the tension. Rafael watched them, his heart swelling at the sight of his son, but his mind was on the fight ahead. "We're going to get through this," he told Zara, as they cleaned up Milo asleep on the couch. "I want to believe you," she said, her voice soft. "But I'm scared, Rafael. For Milo. For us." He took her hand, his touch steady. "I've lost too much to lose you both now. We'll face them together." Rafael felt the weight of his promise as they stood in the quiet villa, the ocean whispering outside. Elena and Victor were formidable, but Milo was his son, and Zara was his heart. He'd fight with everything he had, even if it meant tearing down his family to save the one he was building. The grand ballroom of the Blue Ocean Hotel was a vision of opulence, its chandeliers casting golden light over tables draped in white linen. Tonight's event was a charity gala, a showcase for Miami's elite to flaunt their generosity while networking over Zara Brooks's culinary creations. Her menu was a masterpiece: spicy conch chowder, mojo marinated pork, and guava cheesecake bites, each dish a testament to her skill. But beneath her calm exterior, Zara was a live wire. The rumors about her and Rafael had reached a fever pitch, and Elena's latest move had painted Zara as a liability to Stone Resorts. Worse, the man watching her and Milo at the park had left her on edge, her trust in the world fraying. Rafael moved through the crowd, shaking hands and deflecting questions about his leadership. The board vote loomed, and Victor Marquez gained traction, his charm winning over fence-sitters. Elena, ever the shadow, worked the room, her smiles masking her intent. Rafael had shared the anonymous letter about her Wynwood ties with his investigator, who was closing in on proof. But time was running out, and tonight's gala was a pressure point. He caught Zara's eye through the service window, her focus intense as she plated dishes. He wanted to protect her to shield Milo, but the stakes were climbing. Midway through the evening, chaos erupted. A guest doubled over, clutching their stomach, then another. Whispers of food poisoning spread like wildfire, guests pushing away plates as panic took hold. Zara, alerted by her team, rushed to the ballroom, her heart sinking. "What's happening?" she demanded, grabbing a server. "People are getting sick," the server said, wide-eyed. "They're saying it's the food." Zara's world tilted. Her dishes were meticulous, and her ingredients were fresh. This wasn't an accident. She locked eyes with Rafael across the room, his expression grim as he moved toward her. "We need to shut this down," he said, his voice low. "Get your team out of the kitchen." She nodded, rallying her staff to clear the area, while Rafael addressed the guests, his calm authority cutting through the panic. "We're handling this," he said, directing staff to assist those affected. Paramedics arrived, confirming mild symptoms, no fatalities, but enough to tarnish the hotel's reputation. The press, already circling, pounced on the story. Zara found evidence of sabotage in the kitchen, containers of spoiled cream, hidden in the pantry, swapped into her dessert prep. "Someone did this," she told Rafael, her voice shaking with anger. "This wasn't us." "I know," he said, his jaw tight. "Elena." They had no proof, but the timing was too perfect. Elena had been near the kitchen earlier, and a staff member noted her presence. Rafael called his investigator, demanding a rush on the Wynwood evidence. Meanwhile, Zara worked with health inspectors to clear her team, providing records of her sourcing and prep. The inspectors confirmed the sabotage, but the damage was done. Headlines screamed of a Stone Resort scandal, and Zara's name was dragged through the mud. While staying with a neighbor, Milo was unaware of the chaos, but Zara felt his absence like a wound. She and Rafael met in his office after the guests left the hotel, eerily quiet. "This was a setup," she said, pacing. "They're trying to ruin you. And me." Rafael nodded, his eyes on a photo of Milo he'd taken at the beach. "They want me out, and they're using you to do it. But we're not done yet." They devised a plan. Zara's team would double-check every ingredient for the next event, and Rafael would install cameras in the kitchen. His investigator reported a breakthrough, a recorded conversation between Elena and the Wynwood club owner discussing payments. It wasn't enough to convict, but it could sway the board. Rafael confronted Elena at the next meeting, risking everything to expose her. The following day, Zara and Rafael took Milo to a quiet cafe in Coconut Grove, needing a moment of normalcy. Milo munched on empanadas, oblivious to the storm. Rafael taught him to play checkers, their laughter a brief respite. Zara watched, her heart torn. She wanted a family and a future, but the sabotage had shaken her. She told Rafael later that "we can't keep doing this," as Milo napped in the car. "Every move we make, they're one step ahead." "Then we hit harder," Rafael said. "I'm not losing you or Milo. Not to them." Zara nodded, her resolve strengthening. They returned to the hotel where Rafael's team set up a sting. At the next catering event, they caught a kitchen hand hired by Elena tampering with supplies. The evidence was damning, linking back to her through a burner phone. Rafael and Zara presented it to Claudia, who promised to rally the board. As the gala's fallout lingered, Zara and Rafael stood together in the hotel's empty ballroom, the city's lights sprawling beyond. "We're in this now," she said, her voice steady, no turning back. Rafael took her hand, his grip firm. Together. The battle was far from over, but they were a united front in that moment, ready to face the fire. Elena and Victor's schemes had lit a match, but Zara and Rafael were prepared to burn brighter. The Miami night was heavy with salt and secrets, the ocean's murmur a soft counterpoint to the city's restless pulse. Zara Brooks stood on the balcony of her modest little Havana apartment, the distant glow of downtown, a reminder of the world she'd been pulled into. The charity gala's sabotage had shaken her. Her catering business teetered under public scrutiny. Yet, in the quiet moments, Rafael Stone's presence unsettled her most. His vow to protect her and Milo, their son, had cracked open a door she'd long kept locked. But trust was fragile, and Zara's heart was a battlefield of hope and fear. Rafael across town in his Blue Ocean Hotel penthouse stared at the same skyline his thoughts tangled. The DNA test, confirming Milo's paternity, had shifted his world. But the sabotage Elena's handiwork, he was certain, threatened everything he'd built. Stone Resorts was under siege, with Victor Marquez rallying the board for a vote to oust him. The evidence against Elena, a recorded conversation tying her to a Wynwood money laundering scheme, was a weapon, but not yet sharp enough. Rafael needed more, and he required Zara to stand with him. But her hesitation, her guarded eyes told him she was still holding back. Zara's days were a blur of damage control. She met with clients reassuring them that her food was safe and her reputation intact despite the headlines. Milo, oblivious to the storm, filled her evenings with laughter and questions, his drawings of boats and beaches a bright spot in her world. But the man at the park, the whispers, the sabotage pointed to a truth she couldn't ignore. Elena and Victor were targeting her to get to Rafael. She felt like a pawn in a game she hadn't chosen to play. Rafael, determined to bridge the gap, invited Zara and Milo to a private dinner at a secluded beachfront in Key Biscayne. The restaurant was quiet, its wooden deck lit by lanterns, and the waves had a gentle rhythm. Milo ran along the shore collecting shells while Zara and Rafael sat at a table under the stars. The air was thick with unspoken words, their shared history, a current beneath the surface. Zara said, "I owe you an apology, breaking the silence for keeping Milo from you. I thought I was protecting him, but I was scared of losing him and losing myself." Rafael leaned forward, his gaze steady. "I get it. I do. But it hurt Zara. Finding out like this after all these years." She nodded, her throat tight. "I didn't know who you were back then. Not really. You were this hotel king caught in a scandal. I couldn't risk Milo being pulled into that world." And now he asked, his voice soft but pressing, "What's stopping you now?" Zara looked out at the ocean, the weight of her fears pressing down. "I've always been on my own and built everything from nothing. If I let you in and let this us happen, I'm afraid I'll lose that. Lose me." Rafael reached for her hand, his touch warm and grounding. "I don't want to take anything from you. I want to build something with you, with Milo. But I've got my own demons. After the embezzlement mess, I stopped trusting people. Especially," he hesitated, then pushed on, "especially anyone who got close. I thought it kept me safe, but it just kept me alone." Zara's eyes met his, seeing the man from that South Beach night who danced with her under neon lights, unguarded and alive. "So where do we go from here?" she asked. "Forward," he said. "Together. But we've got to be honest. No more secrets." She nodded a tentative agreement. Milo ran back, his hands full of shells, breaking the tension. "Look, Mom, Rafael, can we make a castle tomorrow?" Rafael grinned, ruffling Milo's hair. "You got it, kid." The night ended with a fragile truce, their walls lowered but not gone. Zara felt a flicker of hope, but Elena and Victor's threat loomed. Back at her apartment, she tucked Milo into bed, his chatter about Rafael, a reminder of what was at stake. She checked her phone and found a message from a client canceling a gig, citing the gala scandal. Her resolve hardened. She wouldn't let Elena destroy her. Rafael, meanwhile, met with his investigator in a discreet downtown office. The Wynwood evidence was mounting bank records, witness statements, and a second recording linking Elena to the club owner. It was enough to shake the board, but Rafael needed to time his move perfectly. Victor's vote was days away, and Elena pushed the narrative that Rafael's personal life was a liability. He thought of Zara's words, her fear of losing herself, and vowed to protect her independence as fiercely as he protected Milo. The next day, Zara took Milo to a cooking class she taught at a community center, a side hustle that kept her grounded. Rafael surprised them, showing up with a bag of fresh mangoes for the kids to use. His presence drew whispers, but Zara ignored them, focusing on Milo's joy as Rafael helped him chop fruit. The moment felt normal, a glimpse of a life they could have had. But as they left, Zara noticed a car idling across the street, its driver watching them. She gripped Rafael's arm, her voice low. "That's the third time this week. Someone's following us." Rafael's jaw tightened. "Stay with Milo. I'll handle it." He approached the car, but it sped off before he could see the driver. Back at the hotel, he doubled security for Zara and Milo, his anger simmering. The investigator confirmed the car was linked to a shell company tied to Victor. The game was escalating, and Rafael knew he had to strike soon. Shaken but resolute, Zara poured her energy into her next catering gig, a small wedding at a Coconut Grove estate. Rafael attended ostensibly to support her, but also to keep watch. The event went smoothly, her food earning raves, but Zara felt the weight of eyes on her. She caught Rafael's gaze across the garden, his nod a silent promise. "I've got you." As the night ended, they walked along the estate's edge, Milo asleep in Rafael's arms. "I meant what I said," Zara told him, her voice soft. "I want to try, but I need to know we're equals in this." "We are," Rafael said, his eyes fierce. "You're not just Milo's mom or my past. You're Zara Brooks, and you're unstoppable." She smiled, a crack in her armor. The chasm between them was still there, but it was narrowing, each honest word a bridge. But as they drove back to the city, the shadow of Elena and Victor loomed, their moves unpredictable. Zara and Rafael were finding their way, but the fight for their future was beginning. The Blue Ocean Hotel's penthouse boardroom was a glass and steel fortress, its floor-to-ceiling windows framing Miami's skyline like a battlefield. Rafael Stone stood at the head of the polished mahogany table, his posture rigid, his eyes scanning the board members seated before him. Today's meeting was a crucible. The vote to curb his authority, orchestrated by Victor Marquez and fueled by Elena's machinations, loomed. The evidence against Elena, a damning collection of bank records and recordings tying her to a Wynwood money laundering scheme, was in his hands. But timing was everything, and Rafael knew one wrong move could cost him everything. Zara Brooks, meanwhile, was in her little Havana kitchen, prepping for a catering gig, while Milo drew at the table. The past weeks had been a whirlwind, her heart opening to Rafael, her fear of losing Milo easing, but the threat of Elena and Victor ever present. The canceled gigs, the whispers, the shadowed car following her, all pointed to a concerted effort to break her. Yet Rafael's promise to fight together had steadied her. She'd agreed to attend the board meeting, which felt reckless and necessary. If Elena were targeting her, she wouldn't hide. Victor opened the meeting in the boardroom with a polished smile, his voice smooth, as he outlined concerns about Rafael's leadership, Personal entanglements, he said, glancing at Rafael, have clouded judgment. We need stability, not scandal. The room murmured, some nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. Elena sat to Victor's right, her expression neutral, but her eyes gleaming with intent. Rafael stood, his presence commanding silence. I've led Stone Resorts through worse than rumors, he said, his voice steady. Our profits are up, and our expansion is on track. But there's a threat to this company. Not me. He paused, letting the tension build. Elena, cared to explain your ties to Winwood? The room froze. Elena's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. What are you implying, Rafael? He slid a folder across the table, its contents spilling out. Bank statements, email screenshots, a transcript of her conversation with the Winwood Club owner. Money laundering. Rafael said, his voice cutting. You've been funneling funds through a club in Winwood, using Stone Resorts as cover. I have recordings. The board erupted, voices overlapping. Victor's face tightened, his plan unraveling. Elena stood, her voice sharp. This is a fabrication. You're desperate, Rafael, dragging my name through the mud to save yourself. Then explain this, Rafael said, playing a recording on his phone. Elena's voice, clear and damning, discussed payments and cleaning funds. The board fell silent, eyes on Elena. She stammered, her composure cracking. This is doctored. You can't trust. I trust evidence, Rafael cut in. And so will the authorities. Before Elena could respond, Zara entered the boardroom, her presence unexpected. She'd been invited as a courtesy, but her decision to speak was hers. I'm Zara Brooks, she said, her voice steady despite the eyes on her. These rumors have targeted me. These rumors have targeted me, and my business has been dragged through the dirt. But I'm here to say Rafael's not the problem. He's fought for this company, his family, and what's right. You want to talk about trust? Trust him. Her words hit like a shockwave. Claudia, Rafael's ally, nodded in approval, while others shifted, reassessing. Victor tried to pivot, accusing Rafael of staging the evidence, but the tide was turning. The board demanded a recess to review the documents, and Elena's fate hung in the balance. As the room cleared, Rafael pulled Zara aside, his gratitude unspoken but clear in his eyes. You didn't have to do that, he said. Yes, I did, she replied. For you, for Milo, for us. The recess stretched into hours, the board deliberating behind closed doors. Rafael and Zara waited in his office, the city sprawling below. He told her about the evidence, the months of digging, the risk he'd taken. She shared her fears, the canceled gigs, the man in the car, the weight of protecting Milo. Their hands found each other, a quiet anchor in the storm. When the board reconvened, the vote was unanimous. Elena was suspended pending an investigation, and Victor's motion to limit Rafael's authority failed. The room buzzed with shock power, shifting back to Rafael. Elena stormed out, her eyes blazing, while Victor slunk away, his influence shattered. Afterward, Zara and Rafael stood on the penthouse balcony, the city's lights a testament to their victory. We did it, Zara said, her voice soft but firm. We're not done, Rafael replied, his hand tightening on hers. But we're closer. They left the hotel together, driving to pick up Milo from a friend's house. The boys' laughter filled the car, a reminder of what they were fighting for. The boardroom battle was won, but Elena's exit was too clean, her silence too ominous. Zara and Rafael knew the war wasn't over, but they had each other for now, and that was enough to face whatever Miami threw next. The Miami sun hung low, casting a golden glow over the Atlantic, as Zara Brooks stood outside her catering kitchen in Little Havana. The air was thick with the scent of jasmine and grilled corn from a nearby food truck, a reminder of the city's vibrant pulse. The boardroom victory over Elena and Victor had shifted the tide, but the scars of the battle lingered. Zara's business. Zara's Bites was clawing its way back from the sabotage scandal, with clients slowly returning as the truth spread. Yet her heart felt the most fragile, between the fear of losing herself and the pull of a future with Rafael Stone and their son Milo. Rafael, now firmly in control of Stone Resorts, was navigating a new reality. The board's trust was restored, but the cost had been high. Elena's betrayal had cut deep, a reminder of the family ties that could bind or break. His focus, though, was on Zara and Milo. The DNA test confirmed Milo as his son, and every moment with the boy, his quick laugh and endless curiosity, felt like a gift Rafael hadn't earned. He wanted to build something real with them, but trust was a delicate thread, and he knew Zara's independence was her armor. Zara, meanwhile, was wrestling with her own doubts. She'd stood up for Rafael in the boardroom, a leap of faith that had surprised even her. But the idea of a shared life with him, a man whose world was so vast, so powerful, stirred old fears of losing control. Milo was her anchor, his drawings and chatter filling their small apartment with light. Yet every time Rafael joined them, whether for a beach day or a taco run, she saw a family taking shape, one she both craved and questioned. Rafael sensed her hesitation and decided to act. He invited Zara and Milo to a quiet dinner at his beachfront villa, a sleek but warm space with open windows and ocean views. The gesture was deliberate. He wanted to show Zara he wasn't trying to pull her into his world, but to create a new one together. Zara arrived with a tray of her signature key lime tarts, a peace offering. Milo bounded in, clutching a toy sailboat, his excitement infectious. The dinner was simple grilled fish mango salsa, and Zara's tarts served on a wooden table under string lights. Milo chattered about school, his latest obsession with pirates, and Rafael listened, his usual guarded demeanor softening. Zara watched, her heart swelling, as Milo leaned into Rafael, asking him to explain how boats float. Rafael's patient answer, complete with a napkin sketch, drew a grin from the boy. After Milo fell asleep on the couch, Zara and Rafael cleared the table, the quiet intimacy of the moment settling over them. Zara said, "You're good with him," her voice soft as she rinsed a plate. "He's starting to look up to you." Rafael set down a glass, his eyes meeting hers. "I want to be someone he can count on. And you, Zara, I know you're scared, but I'm not here to take anything from you." She dried her hands, turning to face him. "It's not just about Milo. It's me. I've fought so hard to build my life and my business. I don't know how to let someone in without feeling like I'm giving something up." Rafael stepped closer, his voice steady. "I don't want you to give anything up. I want to support you. Your dreams. Your work. Zara's Bites deserves to be bigger than Stone Resorts. Let me help make that happen." The words caught her off guard. She'd expected him to pull her into his orbit, not lift her alone. "What are you saying?" she asked. "I'm saying I'll invest in your business," Rafael said. "Not to control it, but to give you what you need, a space, a team, whatever it takes to make your restaurant a reality. You call the shots." Zara's breath hitched. A restaurant had been her dream since she was a teenager, scribbling recipes in a tattered notebook. But accepting Rafael's help meant trusting him, a leap she wasn't sure she could take. "I need to think about it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He nodded, respecting her space. "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." The next day, Rafael followed through. He connected Zara with a real estate agent specializing in commercial properties, offering to cover the cost of a consultation without strings. Zara toured a small but charming space in Coconut Grove, its exposed brick walls and open kitchen perfect for her vision. Standing in the space, she could see tables buzzing with diners, her food, telling stories of her roots and Miami's soul. The possibility felt real, but so did the risk of leaning on Rafael. Meanwhile, Rafael focused on Milo and was determined to build a bond without pressuring Zara. He took the boy to a sailing lesson on Biscayne Bay, teaching him to tie knots and steer a small boat. Milo's laughter echoed over the water, and when he looked up at Rafael and said, "You're pretty cool," Rafael's heart clenched. As they docked, Milo hesitated, then asked, "Can I call you Dad?" The question stopped Rafael cold. He knelt, meeting Milo's eyes. "I'd love that, buddy. But let's talk to your mom first, okay?" Milo nodded, hugging him tightly. Rafael drove him back to Zara's apartment, the moment replaying in his mind. When he told Zara, her eyes welled with tears. He said that she asked, her voice breaking. "Yeah," Rafael said, his own voice thick. "I want to be his dad, Zara, in every way that matters." She reached for his hand, her fingers trembling. "I want that too. I'm just scared." "I know," he said, pulling her close. "But we'll figure it out. Together." The moment was a turning point, a crack in the walls they'd both built. Zara agreed to let Rafael fund the restaurant space, but only as a loan she'd repay. "My terms," she said firmly, and he agreed, a smile breaking through. They spent the next week planning Zara sketching menus, while Rafael handled logistics. Sensing the shift, Milo drew a picture of the three of them, on a boat, labeling it family. The restaurant deal moved fast, with Zara signing a lease for the Coconut Grove space. Rafael's support was practical, hiring contractors, securing permits, but he let Zara lead her vision untouched. Her confidence grew, and with it, her trust in him. They began spending more time together as parents and partners, stealing moments over coffee or late-night walks along South Beach. But the shadow of Elena lingered. Though she'd been suspended from Stone Resorts, her silence was unnerving. Rafael's investigator reported she'd left Miami, but no one knew where. Victor, humiliated by the boardroom defeat, had gone quiet too, his influence diminished, but not gone. Zara felt a prickle of unease, but Rafael's steady and sure presence kept her grounded. As they stood in the empty restaurant space one evening, Milo asleep in the car, Zara looked at Rafael. "This is real?" she asked, gesturing to the space to them. "As real as it gets," he said, pulling her into a kiss that felt like a promise. The healing had begun, but Miami was never a city to let peace linger. Zara and Rafael were building something new, but the past had a way of clawing back. The villa on Key Biscayne was a sanctuary, its white walls and open windows catching the ocean breeze. Zara Brooks, Rafael Stone, and Milo had moved in together, a tentative step toward a shared life. The space blended their worlds, Zara's colorful throws on the couches, Rafael's sleek furniture, and Milo's toys scattered across the floor. The restaurant, now named Zara's Haven, was set to open in weeks, its Coconut Grove location buzzing with contractors and deliveries. Zara's days were a whirlwind of menu planning and tastings, while Rafael balanced Stone Resort's demands with his new role as a father. Milo thrived, his laughter filling the villa, his drawings of boats and families pinned to the fridge. But Miami held its breath with its glittering surface and dark undercurrents. Elena's disappearance after the boardroom showdown had left a void, her absence more unsettling than her presence. Rafael's investigator had traced her to a flight to New York, but the trail went cold. Stripped of his boardroom clout, Victor Marquez had retreated to a low profile, but his silence felt calculated. Although focused on her restaurant, Zara couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The man at the park, the sabotaged gala, they were reminders that peace was fragile. One evening, as Zara prepped a test menu in the villa's kitchen, Rafael played soccer with Milo in the backyard. The boys' giggles echoed, and Zara smiled, her heart lighter, than it had been in years. But when she stepped outside to call them for dinner, she noticed a figure lingering near the beach path, partially hidden by palms. Her pulse quickened. "Rafael," she called, her voice tight. He jogged over, following her gaze. The figure vanished into the dusk, too quick to identify. Rafael's jaw tightened. "Stay with Milo," he said, grabbing his phone to call security. The incident rattled them a crack in their fragile calm. Rafael doubled the villa's security, installing cameras and hiring a guard. Zara, though, shaken, threw herself into her work, determined not to let fear win. The restaurant's opening was her focus, a dream she'd fought for. Rafael supported her, attending tastings and offering feedback, and his pride in her was evident. Sensing the tension, but not understanding it, Milo clung closer to them, his trust a balm. The next day, Rafael received a cryptic email from an anonymous account. A single line Winwood never forgets. Attached was a photo of Zara and Milo at the Coconut Grove market, taken from a distance. His blood ran cold. He showed it to Zara, who gripped the counter, her fear morphing into anger. "This is Elena," she said. "It has to be." Rafael nodded, his mind racing. "Or someone she's working with. I'm not taking chances." He contacted his investigator, who dug deeper into the Winwood connection. The club owner linked to Elena had vanished, but new leads pointed to a network of associates still active in Miami. Rafael shared the email with Claudia, his board ally, who urged caution. "If Elena's behind this, she's desperate," Claudia said. "Desperate people are dangerous." Zara, meanwhile, prepared for a soft opening at Zara's Haven, inviting a small group of loyal clients and food critics. The menu was her heart on a plate jerk: shrimp tacos, plantain fritters, and key lime pie with a guava swirl. Rafael helped with logistics, ensuring the event ran smoothly. Milo, dressed in a tiny chef's hat, handed out samples, his pride in his mom infectious. The night was a success, critics raving about the food and ambiance. But the lingering threat tempered Zara's joy. As they cleaned the restaurant late that night, Rafael pulled Zara aside. "We need to end this," he said. "I'm hiring a team to track Elena. If she's in Miami, we'll find her." Zara nodded, her resolve matching his. "I'm not running. This is our life now, mine, yours, Milo's. She doesn't get to take that." The next morning, Rafael's investigator reported a sighting of Elena in Winwood, meeting a known fixer at a dive bar. Rafael and Zara devised a plan to lure Elena out using a fake tip about a new stone resorts deal. The investigator set up surveillance, and Rafael alerted the authorities, ensuring any move Elena made would be caught. As the restaurant's grand opening approached, Zara and Rafael balanced hope and vigilance. They took Milo to the beach, building sandcastles and laughing a moment of normalcy in the storm. But as they packed up, Zara noticed a man watching from a boardwalk, his phone raised. She grabbed Rafael's arm, and he signaled security, who detained the man. He was a low-level thug hired to tail them, but he wouldn't name his employer. The incident was a warning, but it fueled their resolve. The grand opening of Zara's Haven was a triumph. The restaurant was packed with diners, music filling the air. As critics toasted her success, Rafael stood by Zara's side, Milo between them. The city embraced her, and for the first time, Zara felt she belonged not just in Miami, but with Rafael and Milo as a family. Yet as they locked up that night, a note slipped under the door. "You can't hide forever." Rafael crumpled it, his eyes meeting Zara's. "We're not hiding," he said. "We're fighting." The villa was their fortress, but the shadows of Winwood loomed. Elena was out there, her plans unclear, her reach unknown. Zara and Rafael held each other close, Milo sleeping nearby, their bond stronger than ever. Miami's secrets were far from unraveling, but they were ready to face the dark together.